I am taking this bitch live. I'm gonna try. I just said bitch, and I'm really sorry about that. I'm gonna try super duper, uber hard not to cuss anymore. I've been real bad
Why?
on a lot of the stuff. Just not as much. It's just rampant. I think the problem is that I couldn't cuss for a very long time whenever I was on actual radio, and so then when I started doing this with you and like by myself and with you, it was like whenever I got out of the military and I tried to grow my hair out and smoke weed. And it was just like all these things I haven't been able to do for 6 years, I'm going to do them now. It was kind of the same thing with that. So I'm going to try not to curse so much. Hey, we're the Waste of Talent with Josh Beard and Shaun, by the way. Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? We haven't done this in about 3 weeks, and we're doing it at an earlier time, which I'm super excited about. It was supposed to be even earlier, but my computer decided to restart and update everything, literally every program that it had. So it took a few more minutes to get us going. But
We're only 32 minutes late.
shut up. We're going to dive into some fun stuff. We're going to go for about 30 to 45 minutes. We're going to try to shorten our time as well as go earlier, make it a little bit more digestible and consumable for you guys. As consumable as me talking is. Sometimes
And
it's
me.
great. Yeah, well, no, you're fine. You got a good voice. It's just me. It's just like, why is this high-pitched fat guy talking? I don't
You
think
haven't gotten high pitched yet.
I don't-
We're not talking about the Mavericks or anything yet.
I don't think I had to have that high pitched of a voice until I think it was Cody Stutes did an impersonation of me to me one time. I'm like, my voice is not that high pitched, and Alex was like, yeah, no, it is. Your voice is kind of high pitched. I don't hear that high pitched to me, but then I listen back to myself, and I don't know how people do it. To be honest, I don't know how my wife has been in the same house as me for a long time. But we're gonna dive into the Texans in just a second. We're also gonna talk about Gerrit Cole's penis head. I've said Phallic everywhere else, but Gerrit Cole looks like he has a penis head. We're gonna talk about him and that massive contract. But I want to start off with the Texans because it's NFL, and we're gonna pretend like. I really want to pretend like last Sunday didn't happen. Like that last Sunday was the worst loss that the Texans have had all season by far. And look, I'm gonna be super hyperbolic, and I thought it was like gut reactionary. And you know how much of a victim of the moment I am, but I still, days later, I still think this. I think this is the worst loss of the Bill O'Brien era. I'll tell you exactly why this is the worst.
Kansas City, 30-0.
I'll tell
playoffs.
I'll tell you exactly why this is the worst loss of the Bill O'Brien era. Kansas City, 30-0 in the playoffs, but he didn't have his quarterback. But and also you're playing a playoff team. This is why it's the worst loss of the Bill O'Brien era. And yeah, I'm choosing a regular season loss as the worst loss of the Bill O'Brien era. You literally have this team constructed exactly the way you want. You have the quarterback that you want. You have amazing talent on offense. And you go into halftime down 31-3 against a 4-8 team that has a rookie quarterback. Like, Bill O'Brien is not the only one at fault here. This isn't going to be a bash Bill O'Brien fest. Although, like, there's some blame on him. There's some blame on Shaun. Honestly, more than anybody else, it's Romeo Crennel that I might be the most fed up with. And not from there have been good moments for Romeo Crennel's defense this year, and at times when I didn't think that they were going to be that great. But like if you go look at the numbers, they're one of the worst defenses in the league. They just are. And
what are they, like 26th or 27th overall?
Yeah, it's not good. I thought I heard 20. I think it's like 28th or 29th in pass defense. I could look up the stats and pretend like I knew it before, but I'm not going to do that right now. All I know is I've seen moments after J.J. Watt got hurt where I was like, you know what, I didn't expect them to hold up as well as they have. But I've texted you after, what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we're like, this defense is playing better than I thought. But they don't look great, and here the thing is when the defense isn't in perfect shape and completely healthy, which no defense around this time of the year is in perfect shape and completely healthy. Romeo Crennel's defenses struggle; they just have, and I don't know what he was thinking. He had a quote today actually that I wanted to talk about, and I forgot to put it in the rundown, but it was essentially the gist along the lines of, well, we had a rotation of cornerbacks because we've never had this many cornerbacks that can play. And, you just got to see what guys can do. That like he's like the goal is to see what dudes can do. And I understand that. You see what guys can do in training camp. That's the time to see what guys can do. Not whenever you're trying to win and make the playoffs and you're 8-3 or you're 8-4 and you're going against a 4-8 team that, yes, they're starting a rookie quarterback and no, they don't have a ton of offensive weapons, but that's not the time to start messing around with things. It's not like you're a top 10 defense or a top 15 defense. And you know what? We have the luxury of messing around with that because if we need to, we can buckle down and we know we can stop them. This is a terrible defense. The offense didn't show up. Nobody showed up, looked like they were ready to play. And this was the. I'm sorry. I know I'm going first. I did not mean to go this long this early. But to me, like, we've done these shows on and off all throughout the season, and one week we're like, oh my God, they beat the freaking Chiefs, or oh, they beat the Patriots. But then they come out and they have games like last week against the Broncos where they lose to a 4-8 team, and it's one of the most frustratingly inconsistent teams I've ever watched in my entire life. It blows my mind how they can go and perform a certain way against one team that's one of the top, that many people consider a top team. And it's not like they've done this once. They've done this multiple times this year, where they can go and compete against a team that's considered one of the top teams and win those games, and then they lay an egg against a team like the Broncos. It's absolutely infuriating, and I don't understand it.
Or they don't show up against the top team. Like they didn't show up against the Baltimore Ravens.
Against the Ravens, right.
There's the only pattern that you could make with this Texans team this year is the fact that they're a team that has won 2 games in a row and then lost 1. That's the pattern this year. That's what they are. I mean, and you can read what you want into that, probably nothing at all. But ultimately what that says to me, especially for a team that, didn't have a lot of these guys that they're trusting in training camp. These were guys that Bill O'Brien, was kind of wheeled and dealed for, and they haven't been here since day one. They'd come in and had to learn on the fly, guy, especially like Hargraves, who they're trusting much more now. And he's made some plays, but he's hit or miss. He reminds me a lot of DJ Swearinger, not necessarily in like the style of play, but in how much you can rely on him to be Mr. Consistent.
Yep.
He's very inconsistent. This defense is very inconsistent. Sometimes they can flash, and sometimes they can absolutely fall flat on their face like they did the other day against the Denver Broncos in the first half. I mean, John McClain, I had to stop looking at his Twitter because he had so many John Elway mentions. It was like just nauseating, calling Ryan Tannehill Elway. But I'll say this real quick.
Ryan Tannehill or?
Yeah, Tannehill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Tannehill's been really. We'll get into that in just a second.
The best tweet of the day from Sunday from John McClain was like, "Yeah, I've been waiting on John Elway to hit the big one with Rod Smith." Talking about Ryan Tannehill. I don't know what receiver, but I'll say this: like Romeo Crennel, he's got a lot on his plate, and like he has to shoulder the blame. O'Brien has to shoulder the blame. Tunsil, Watson. Lonnie Johnson Jr. especially, those 2 ridiculous pass interference calls.
He almost had 2 more. He's lucky. There were 2 more that could have been called, and he's lucky that they didn't.
They're so bad, especially the one where he basically leg tackled the guy in the back of the end zone. Like, What are you doing? Like, you got beat. Like, just get off your ass and try to make a play. Like, don't leg tackle a guy. It's going to get called every single time.
Yep.
Like, that's just pitiful, and it's embarrassing. Those things really bother me. Texans defense is not good statistically. It doesn't mean that they can't flash. This team actually kind of reminds me of 2015 when they lost a really bad game, a game that they shouldn't have lost, and it came in October. I was looking at this earlier. It was a terrible loss against the Dolphins in Miami, I think it was. It was the same game which Arian Foster tore his Achilles, and basically that was the injury that ended his career. He was in not a meaningless game, but he was in a blowout game when he shouldn't have been in the fourth quarter, and that happened. What did the Texans do after that? They won 5 of their next 7 football games. They finished 9-7. And then we had 30-0 Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs in the first round at NRG. Remember that crap?
Yep. Oh, I absolutely remember that.
Well, it reminds me of this team a little bit in the sense that, okay, well, while they had to overcome not just an embarrassing loss, but they had to overcome, a big time injury to one of their main players, the guy that made the wheels go round at that point in time, in Arian Foster. Well, look, they lost J.J. Watt. They've already had an embarrassing loss to the Ravens. They're just coming off another embarrassing loss to the Denver Broncos with the biggest game maybe in their franchise's history yet again on their doorstep for the division in the most pivotal year of the franchise with the Titans this Sunday. And let's see what they do. Forget about all the patterns. Forget about all the stats. Like 2 weeks ago when they'd beaten the Patriots, we said, and I said, and I firmly believed it, that they arrived. Well, they didn't come back from the honeymoon, from their celebratory victory over the New England Patriots this past Sunday against the Broncos. But that's not to say that they can't still get hot at the right time. With ultimately, a lot of these guys are trusting a nucleus of players that they are forced to trust. Yeah, Bill O'Brien made all these moves for these guys. Doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly who he wanted. He just felt like maybe this was a year he had to go all in and has to win now. And these are the guys he has to do.
He's made good moves. Bill O'Brien, the GM, has made good moves.
In large part, they've been good. For what it's going to cost them potentially in the future, yikes.
Yeah, I just have I now have a tiny semblance of faith in Bill O'Brien, the GM. But I can tell you right now, what was the one constant between that 2015 team that you talked about and the team this year? What's the one constant there?
Is this one of those rhetorical questions like where you know the answer? Because if you're asking me to like quickly think on the spot, like the one constant, I don't know. Like from what I recall, and I forgot to even make my main point, but I would say an inconsistent defense. After that Dolphins game, which they gave up 44 points, they gave up 6, 17, and 6 points.
Inconsistency. But even
I got it right?
Yeah, you did. Even more so than that. What is the one when we talk about inconsistency with the Texans? The Texans have been one of the most god-awfully inconsistent teams for the last 5 years, 4 years,
18 since they've been in existence.
But let's just go the past 5 years. What is the one constant? They're always inconsistent. That's Bill O'Brien. That 2015 team, the head coach was Bill O'Brien. This 2019 team, the head coach is Bill O'Brien. I have a small amount of faith in Bill O'Brien, the head coach. And I'm not going to say I have a small amount of faith in Bill O'Brien, the GM. And I have faith in Bill O'Brien, the head coach, to an extent. But I have absolutely no faith that the Texans will be able to win anything substantial with Bill O'Brien as the head coach. And now I'm not saying go fire the guy, because it always comes back to the argument of if you go fire him, who are you going to get? Now there's like that's a fear type of thing. It's like, well, if I quit this job to go chase my dreams and look for something better, like what am I going to do in the meantime? Is that actually going to happen? Or okay, perfect example is Disney. Should I get the churro ice cream sandwich, or should I get this waffle fruit? If I don't get this waffle fruit, I may not get this like waffle fruit wrap ever. But I'm gonna get this, but the churro ice cream sandwich would be a lot better.
It's different because
it's a little different.
You want the
I know
waffle.
I wanted the waffle.
Yeah,
but it is way different. There's no good analogy other than the fact that you don't know what you would get, and your options are to go get another regurgitated head coach that didn't work out somewhere else, or you go take a chance on a guy like Shaw or who other names that we've heard thrown out there like David Shaw, and you don't know with a guy like that. But with Bill O'Brien, you at least know that you have a head coach in the NFL that's like, maybe he's like the 11th best or 12th best head coach in the NFL. He's pretty good. He's not bad. But the thing is his teams are wildly inconsistent. He himself as a play caller, as a decision maker, is wildly inconsistent. That's the one consistent thing about these Bill O'Brien Texans teams is how inconsistent they are. And that's why I just have no faith that they can win anything substantial with him as the head coach. Because what do you need more than anything else to be a Super Bowl caliber team? You need to be consistent. And they're just not that. I love the flashes. I
yeah.
love seeing what that offense can do. But I can't have an offense with DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson, an offensive line that's actually halfway decent at times, and they go out and put up 3 points in one half against the Broncos with a banged up Von Miller. Like, come on, man. Oh, and another thing too, and I'll shut up. I'll shut up and listen. I'm gonna pretend to be like a caller. Like, one more thing, and then I'm gonna shut up and listen to you, Shaun. Is I don't know what that impersonation was. I'm sorry, but not signing Kareem Jackson. Now, hindsight's 2020, even though everybody was telling them to sign Kareem Jackson. Not signing Kareem Jackson wasn't as huge of a mistake as I thought it would be until this game. He's been great for the Broncos this year, but he came back to bite the Texans so hard in the ass. And you can't base signing a guy off of one game and one game that he played against you. I understand that, but there's nothing. Nobody can convince me that Tayshaun Gibson was the better answer over Kareem Jackson at that other safety spot, because Kareem Jackson has been incredible, and he was incredible in the safety spot with the Texans. They decided to go a different direction, and he made them
younger and cheaper. Younger and cheaper.
Yeah, younger
and cheaper.
Younger and cheaper,
but that's exactly what it was.
I get that. I understand it was younger and cheaper, and that's exactly what it was. But I mean, if you're talking about wanting to go all in and contend right now, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You just got to do it. And we also don't know how much of that was not necessarily all Bill O'Brien. We don't know how much of that was Brian Gaine, right? Like how much of that decision of not offering Kareem Jackson a contract was him.
I mean, that's fair too, but I also think that they believed that their pass rush was going to be much improved, and that by getting younger and cheaper and still very talented with guys like Tayshaun Gibson and the guys that they have brought in the secondary, that I'm really excited about. I like what I've seen from Conley, from Hargraves, from Gibson.
Too. Yeah,
Justin.
I don't
Reed.
like what I've seen from Gibson at all.
I really like him.
I don't. He's not good.
I think he can be, though. I think he can be. It's just in this defense right now with legit, man, zero pass rush. And it works complementary, just like a good offensive line works complementary with a good running back and a good quarterback that is a pocket passer, but that also knows how to escape and extend plays. I mean, these are things that all have to come together at the right time.
I hate using this, but I'm going to do it because it helps me win my argument, and it's kind of a dick move. But do you know the difference between Kareem Jackson and Tayshaun Gibson's Pro Football Focus ratings?
You're going to go PFF.
Oh, I'm going PFF. Look, it's not much better than Madden ratings, but I'm just saying.
I mean, in all fairness, Kareem Jackson, statistically, but even if you've just watched him a little bit this year, is having maybe one of his best seasons he's ever had in his entire career. Like, so good, it's to the point to where you have, NFL experts talking about him being on the level of Hall of Famers, guys that are already in the Hall of Fame in Canton. So I understand. Like, it's going to be a stupid discrepancy. Go ahead.
Actually, his Kareem Jackson's Pro Football, his PFF isn't as high as it was with him at safety for the Texans when he actually got to play that for the Texans last year. But it's an 81 versus a 65. So I mean, the discrepancy is just huge. But here's the other thing.
I mean, that's a B versus an F.
But here's the other thing. Like, I understand that Tayshaun Gibson was younger and cheaper. Like, how much cheaper was he actually? Because the Texans are paying him $7.5–8 million a year. The Broncos are paying Kareem Jackson $11 million a year. So like, it's really, in the scheme of things, when you were talking about how much cap space they had to sign guys, and then how much cap space they decided not to use, so they could have played around with more. In the grand scheme of things, is $3,500 something that should have been, or sorry, $3,500. Jesus Christ,
3.5
million something that should have precluded them from keeping one of the guys who was, when he was at safety, was one of the best players on their defense. I mean, that, like, before he had to move back to cornerback. Everybody in the world, nobody can say that he wasn't one of the best players on the team, on the defense, when he was at safety. He was. And they didn't even, I guess, you know what, if they had tried, and they tried to maybe lowball him a little bit, and like, and then he said no and went to Denver, I wouldn't be as pissed as I am right now. But they didn't even offer him a contract.
Did the
Shaun?
Astros offer Gerrit Cole a contract?
It's different. Totally different. Like,
I'm just
absolute no.
They went through the formality and extended him the qualifying offer, right?
Okay.
And that was ultimately to get draft pick compensation when, not if he signs somewhere else.
But
like
they also had the luxury. The difference between those two situations is the Astros had the luxury of being able to fall back on Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke. What did the Texans have in the secondary to fall back on outside of Justin Reed?
I mean, they needed to fill some holes. Like, your two constants that I can think of off the top of my head in the secondary entirely was Lonnie Johnson Jr., Jonathan Joseph, and Justin Reed. Those are like your three guys that you knew were going to be a part of this team.
Well, Lonnie Johnson, no, you didn't know that he was going to be a playmaker. The kid's too young.
I didn't say playmaker. I mean, he was going to play.
Well, he was going to play, but we're talking about, like, I'm not talking about guys that were going to play. I'm talking about guys.
That's all I'm talking about is guys that you knew. It was
but we didn't. He was a rookie. Like, he hadn't even been drafted yet. Whenever Kareem Jackson, whenever the free agency period opened. So
that's right. Right.
So they had, and Jonathan Joseph, love the guy. I'm gonna go with a Silicon Valley reference where they say Richard's a great guy, but yeah, like Jonathan Joseph, love him. He makes some plays, but he's older. It was only Justin Reed and Kareem Jackson. Like, Tyrann Mathieu wasn't even that great last year. He was good, but he wasn't great. Kareem Jackson, when he was at safety, was literally great, and he's showing it. And he made the Texans pay for it. And so I'm pissed that, like, he literally, they were counting down the number of plays that he made against the Texans that were literally game-changing moments. And he could be doing that for that Texans defense right now. And that makes, like, Kareem Jackson is still good without an amazing pass rush. Kareem Jackson, if you had Kareem Jackson and Justin Reed at safety, I feel so much more comfortable with that defense right now. And I bet you, I seriously doubt they're one of the worst pass defenses in the league. I bet you they're top 15. That one change, and yeah, I know, I'm saying it, I don't care, and it's a stupid hypothetical that I shouldn't do. But with Kareem Jackson at that other safety spot and Kareem Jackson, Justin Reed as the two safeties, the Texans would be a top 15 pass defense. Because one change is safe. Tayshaun Gibson is slow. His reads are bad. Tayshaun Gibson is not a good defensive player. He is an okay defensive player, and the difference between him and having a legitimate all-pro caliber player was $3.5 million. And that's just not okay with me. It doesn't sit well with me. And I would probably feel better about it if they offered him and he turned it down, or they offered, and even if it was a low ball, at least they would have offered. But the fact that they just sat there and let Kareem Jackson completely walk for free and brought in Tayshaun Gibson thinking that was going to be a good deal, like, I just can't be okay with that.
I'd be interested in knowing, like, exactly, what transpired, what kind of conversations they had, what the feeling in the building was with Kareem Jackson before that decision was ultimately made, because there's always more to the story than what meets the eye, or than what we already know. And, I'm surprised that we didn't learn a little bit after this past week, Kareem coming in here and having a career day, against his former team. But, maybe the time and the place will present itself to where, Kareem sits down after, the season, and there's a story, and he tells you exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, what the thought process was. But ultimately, I
don't feel like Kareem's that kind of guy, though. I feel like he'll just be like, man, whatever happened, and we're going to leave it there.
Guys change when they're in different environments, and they're a little bit more comfortable talking, and maybe they find somebody that they're comfortable talking to. That happens all the time. You hear things from guys, like, look at the story today with, I think it was Sam Amick that had it, talking about Carmelo Anthony and PJ Tucker last year in training camp. Like, now that Carmelo Anthony is with the Trailblazers and he's putting up the same exact averages with them that he was putting up with the Houston Rockets, 15, 6, and 40% shooting, and the Blazers still suck as much as the Rockets sucked with Carmelo, and he's playing exactly the same minutes. It's a spitting image. Yeah. Oh, Carmelo's getting some headlines now, and now, it's a story, and then we come to find out today that PJ Tucker schooled his ass and made him look as old as we all knew he already was and couldn't play with the Rockets defensively.
I will never, ever, ever forgive the NBA for giving a Western Conference Player of the Week to Carmelo Anthony over Luka Doncic. When Luka, our Lord and Savior Luka Doncic, earned that award and was not given that award because people felt sorry for him. Never.
He'll win it next week.
Have you watched that trail? He will. Have you watched that Trailblazers team with Carmelo? It's like
a little bit.
The one thing you never wanted to do is take the ball out of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard's hands and slow the offense down. And they were just like, "Hey, Carmelo, just come in here and hold the ball on the baseline for about 45 seconds before you shoot."
They're not trying to do anything. What are they, 9-13, 10-13, something like that? I mean, they're not trying.
I don't know. Let me look at what their record is. I mean, you know what? This is our show. We can do whatever the fuck we. Oh, see, I already said it.
If the playoffs start today, they're like the third or fourth team out.
Shaun, don't hate on them that much. They're 10-15. Saying that they're 9-15 or 8-15. By the way, the beautiful little 16-7 Dallas Mavericks, number 3 in the Western Conference right now. Just got to throw that out there. I'm just saying they're doing it with the likes of Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, and JJ Barea, and a banged up Kristaps Porzingis, because that's just how damn good Luka Doncic actually is at basketball.
Don't poop on the roster that the Mavericks have, because we said before the season even started, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, let's get.
They got a pretty deep roster.
Let's finish up the Texans talk with talking about this matchup with the Titans this weekend. And I guess we don't need to get in it. We'll talk a little bit about them playing the Titans twice over the next 3 weeks. But most specifically this weekend, how concerned are you going into this Titans game? Because I'm real worried. I'm very worried. And I know everybody's like, oh, duh. When they lose one, they win two. It's so it's just the dumbest platitude bullshit ever. But they're playing the Titans in Tennessee. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. Ryan Tannehill, he's finally showing that he can play quarterback when he's not in Miami. And this Titans team looks really, really good. And they're a legitimate threat against the Texans. And how are you feeling going into this game? Because I'm not feeling so great about this one at all, especially on the road.
I mean, the Titans are at home, and they're a team that's playing, pretty good football. They're in a race. They're hungry. Mike Vrabel's a master motivator. We've known that, from watching him as a player all those years with the Patriots, and we knew that from him being a coach here with the Texans, not so much as defensive coordinator, but I mean, the dude's a really good coach. He's a motivator. When the Texans and Titans get together and they're playing, there's no doubt in your mind that Vrabel's going to have his dudes at least ready to play. The mental aspect of the game is going to be taken care of. There's not any BS questions about the carryover. Are you still on a honeymoon? Are you overlooking this team? Hell no. There's no question there, and maybe some of that has to do with the fact that, Vrabel's a younger guy. We remember him as a player, and from him being a former player and a recent former player, he gets more of the benefit of the doubt than the guy who's been coaching forever, and Bill O'Brien, who's also obviously a very good coach too, who, has his team behind him and has the locker room and all of these things. Right. But, I'm worried about it like just anything else, because this is the first of two, and the Titans or the Texans, regardless who wins this game, nothing's solidified, but you feel less comfortable about that Tampa Bay game next weekend, because they just put up 30 or 40 some odd points this past weekend.
Yeah, they're real weird, man.
They're up and down.
The one thing that makes them less scary is the fact that they're going to be without Mike Evans, but they still have Chris Godwin, and it's real weird. Jameis Winston, it's there's sometimes where he looks like, oh yeah, this is how you play quarterback, and then there's other times where it's he went and just took a hit of a whippet on the sideline and literally forgot everything that he had previously learned. It's insane.
Yeah. But ultimately, the Titans did what they were supposed to do last week against the Raiders, and they blew the brakes off of them. And the Texans didn't show up until late, when it didn't even really matter. And, there was a hope and a prayer with 15 seconds left. And, they pissed that away.
Do you want me to make you feel better about the Titans matchup going into this Sunday? So I'm gonna make you feel better. Just listen
close.
Trying
to figure out how you could actually do that.
I'm telling you, I guarantee you, this is gonna make you feel better. The Titans in weeks 1 to 6 were 2-4, only averaged 16.3 points per game, and had 11 touchdowns. Since naming Ryan Tannehill the starting quarterback in week 7, they're 6-1. They're averaging 31.4 points, and they've had 27 offensive touchdowns. So, did that make you feel better?
You're saying they're due to suck again?
I'm just saying that I was trying to make you feel worse while pretending to make you feel better. It should make you feel real bad. Like, they're through 7 games. Since Tannehill became the starter, they're 6-1, and they're one of the best offenses in the NFL. And so everybody that looks at the overall record of the Titans will they're 8-5 just like the Texans. Well, it's a different 8-5. Like, everybody wants to look at standings and records as, well, they're this, it's the same thing. No, like, sometimes they look the same, but they got there in different ways. Yeah. Like, by benching Mariota and starting Tannehill, the Titans went from here to here. And the Texans have just been sitting here all year in the same spot. They've gone up and down a little bit, but it's got them right here. It's the same, consistently inconsistent. Like, when I watch teams like the Chiefs, and I watch teams, and I know the Texans beat them, but when I watch the Chiefs and I watch the Ravens, who else what other teams am I thinking of? That sometimes, not as much whenever I watch the Patriots now, but we'll just say the Chiefs and the Ravens. When I watch
reliable teams you can trust.
The Packers, the Saints, the 49ers, even the Seahawks a little bit, although they've been kind of reeling a little bit lately too. When I watch those teams, I constantly ask myself, how confident am I that the Texans could compete with them in a game? And we've already seen it against the Ravens. Like, at full strength, both teams, there's just nothing in me that thinks that in a playoff scenario, the Texans can compete with the likes of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. And, like, people go, like, the Saints now, the way the Saints have played the majority of the season. I know people will say, well, but they were close against the Saints. Or they beat the Chiefs, but, well, Patrick Mahomes was banged up, and the Saints game was at the beginning of the season before teams really get rolling. And the Texans have been this inconsistent thing right here. But when I watch the Titans with the way their defense has been playing, the way Ryan Tannehill has been playing at quarterback for them, with Derrick Henry at running back, their offensive line is pretty damn good. I actually see the Titans maybe not winning games against teams like that, but competing against teams like that.
Well, that's the key, right? I mean, that's something.
But I don't see the Texans doing that. Well,
the Texans
because of the defense.
The Texans didn't even really compete against Carolina earlier in the year. They definitely didn't compete against the Ravens, and they were a no-show in the first half against the Broncos. And, like, I say they were a no-show. Like, I remember they moved the ball. They moved the ball against the Broncos. They had no problem going boom, first down. But they get to the 50. They'd get to the 50, and it would just all fall apart. Or, Tunsil, false start, or, defensive hold, pass interference, or you put the ball on the ground if you're Kiki QT, or you put the entire game on the line of a 4th and 1 in the first freaking half, and you give away more points in the first half. You make it a 5-possession football game in the first half. Like, these are things that happen to the Texans that don't necessarily, kill other franchises, kill other teams. Like, the Texans are a team that have to have everything go by the book. And if something gets off schedule, then they don't know what to do when, it hits the fan.
Yep.
They have to have an interception or a scoop and score or a strip sack fumble recovery to get them back on track.
Yep.
Now they can't go out there and get a freaking stop on it. They can't go 3 and out. That's just not them.
Right.
That's not a team that you have the confidence in. Like, you know what? They're going to get a stop here. It's like, oh crap! No, we need another huge swing play.
When are they going to get a random interception on the 1 yard line? Please let that happen. Yeah, like it's frustrating.
Here's what I was just thinking about this. If the Texans would have competed against the Ravens and still lost 3 weeks ago, and then still beat the Patriots, if they would have just competed but still lost to the Broncos, coming into this game, it still means
I wouldn't be as worried.
Wins and losses are still the same. Mm-hmm. The division is still technically right now on the line, but you feel pretty good about this game if you're a Texan fan because of the level of competition. They would have been in games. They would have been more consistent, but that's just not who they are, man.
Right.
This is like the epitome of what the entirety of this organization for the last 18 years has been, either from year to year or from week to week, wildly inconsistent. And it's so frustrating, but I'm always all in because it's my team. I live here. It's a team that I root for. It's a team that I cover. I just, you want to feel really good about the team that you watch and the team that you cover and the team that you root for. It's just really difficult to go all in and be all on board in such a pivotal game because we know Deshaun Watson has thrived in college and at the pro level on big stages, but Bill O'Brien hasn't.
Right.
And there's a lot of guys on this team that haven't, and that haven't even had that opportunity, that have just been also rans on some crap organizations, never in competition for anything real, especially like a division that's on the line, as is the case on Sunday.
Do you want me to make you feel a little bit better about the game?
It didn't
on
work
Sunday?
Last time.
Yeah, well, we'll try again. Since becoming the Titans starting quarterback in Week 7, Ryan Tannehill, I can't talk tonight, has a better quarterback rating than Drew Brees, has more yards than Aaron Rodgers, more touchdowns than Tom Brady, fewer interceptions than Russell Wilson, and a better completion percentage than Lamar Jackson. That should make you feel better, Shaun. Does that make you feel better?
No.
Not in any way.
Because I can poke holes in all of those.
What do you think the Texans' record is at the end of the season? They're 8-5 right now.
Gun to my head, 10-6.
It's tough. I really want to say I'm going to say a very guarded 10-6, but I really want to say 9-7.
Yeah.
But a very cautiously optimistic 10-6, which I think that gets them in the playoffs. They win the AFC South with a 10-6 record and a win over the Titans. So I like that. I don't know. We'll see. These two games against the Titans are going to be huge.
The question is when does that win come? Does the win come Sunday? Does it come week 17?
I think it comes week 17.
I don't know. I got a feeling that we're going to see a hell of a football game on Sunday. I just don't know who comes out on top. It's going to be interesting. It's going to set the tone for the rest of the season. I think Deshaun Watson had the opportunity to set the tone. A couple days ago. I think it was yesterday. When players were made available. He was asked about the importance of this game, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit because I'll go to the point that I just made. Deshaun Watson is not afraid of the big moment.
No.
And if he is, he really performs well in it. He might be.
It does a good job of acting.
He might be scared shitless going in, but he really performs once he's on the big stage. And I'll just say this, like, yesterday when he was asked about the importance of this game, he gave the regular rigmarole, it's just a game like every other week, and
right.
Every game is big and blah blah blah. It's like, bro, you lost your ass. Your what was it? His sophomore year to Alabama, in the national championship game, and in the very next year you came back and you fought through all that adversity, and you beat the team that beat you. And you said it was going to happen. You needed that to happen. You wanted it to happen. You spoke it and played it into existence. Like, you owned it. He wore everything on his sleeve. And he's done it in the NFL on big stages. The team's now, 6-2 in primetime games, with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Like, can you please tell me that this game is not just like the Colts game a few weeks back, that it's not it's bigger than the New England Patriots game was a couple of weeks ago? Can you just please tell me that, you know what? This is a huge game.
Yeah.
This is
massive. This is the season. Yep.
This is our season, and we have to understand that technically, it isn't, but it might be.
It might be.
We need this game
because the Titans might smell. They might smell blood in the water if they come out and win this game.
It's a Mike Vrabel team. You better bet your ass that he smells blood in the water.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, think about this. I don't know if you bought into it or not, but when Ryan Tannehill became a Tennessee Titan in the offseason, I knew this was going to happen. Nobody believed in Marcus Mariota. I knew it was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. It could have happened in training camp, but they gave Mariota the benefit of the doubt. And maybe if for nothing else, they just let him know that he could see himself that he sucked balls, and wasn't going to NFL quarterback. I knew Ryan Tannehill was going to get that job at some point, and now that he has, and he's in a good situation with a competent head coach and a freaking firecracker, dude's playing with a chip on his shoulder, best he's played ever in his career, best football he's played since he was throwing touchdown passes to Ryan Swope at Texas A&M. I mean, this dude is ready, so they smell blood in the water. They're playing a home game.
Don't remind me of the past. Here's the problem with Ryan Tannehill playing well. My wife has an undying crush on Ryan Tannehill. And I've said before, there are two people that she would leave me for in this world. One of them is Garth Brooks, but he's super old now, so I think I might beat him. But I think if he walks in with a guitar and starts singing to her, I'm done.
Now you're done for.
The other one is Ryan Tannehill. And the saving grace of that crush was always that Ryan Tannehill, while yes, he was pretty and she had a crush on him, he was very bad at football. And it was embarrassingly bad as a Miami Dolphin. Well, now if he's out there playing like a good quarterback playing good football, well, I'm screwed. She's going to go right back to loving him. So what I've been doing is I've been not subconsciously at all, it's very openly, taunting her, saying, man, Ryan Tannehill might be one of the best Houston Oilers that the franchise has ever had, and just taunting her by reminding her that he plays for the team that was stolen from her as a child, and just trying to associate bad feelings with Ryan Tannehill so she doesn't leave me for him, or at least leave me for the idea of him. One last thing, I don't think we're going to be able to get into Gerrit Cole tonight, which kind of sucks, but we might have to do he's very rich.
And he's hairless.
We're gonna do something. We're gonna do something before next week. We're gonna talk about Gerrit Cole on Saturday or something. I'm gonna force you to come on and do something. But we'll talk about Gerrit Cole at some point. But I just want to bring this up too, because I want to play another hypothetical game. First of all, before I say that, the Baltimore Ravens are up 21-7 with 2 minutes left until halftime. But the reason I bring that up is Lamar Jackson officially broke the single season rushing record for quarterbacks. He broke Michael Vick's single season quarterback rushing record of 1,039 yards, and he's still going. Right now, he only has, last I checked, I haven't updated it, but he is 6 for 7, 55 yards and 2 touchdowns with 57 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Check it out. So as you're going through all that, I'm looking at the box score right now. Before we started this show, and I don't know how long we've been going, maybe 30, 40 minutes.
It was 45 minutes.
All right, so check me out. Before we started the show, I asked you, hey, is Lamar playing tonight? And I pull it up, and I'm like, yeah, he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
The time, he was 3 for 3 for 30 yards, 31 yards.
Yeah.
So since he's 3 for 4.
Yeah.
And he's thrown 2 touchdowns.
Yep. And then added another 64 yards. Or sorry, I accidentally read Mark Ingram's stats. Lamar Jackson has 64 yards rushing, no rushing touchdown. But yeah,
they're almost the same. Yeah.
He's ridiculous. He's I can't even believe, I'm so mad at myself for weeks ago saying, but Russell Wilson. No. Lamar Jackson's the damn MVP, and I'm an idiot for thinking otherwise. All right, here's the last hypothetical before we end the show for tonight.
It could go either way for me, by the way, still.
Oh, really?
I still think Wilson.
I've been watching a lot of Seattle's games, and Russell has not looked good in the last 2 or 3 games.
I get it. But there's 2 games left, and there was even doubt if Lamar was going to play tonight or not.
Right.
So he's got to get through tonight healthy, because the last 2 games could mean name me the last MVP quarterback in the NFL that missed, 2 games in a race that literally is this close. You know what I'm saying? Wilson can still do it.
What we should do is, at the end of the regular season, we should just have a show just completely dedicated to what awards we would give away. And who we would give them to. So we'll do an award show, or an awards prediction show. But let's do this. The Texans have 3 games left, at Tennessee, then against Tampa Bay, then against Tennessee again. The Titans have 3 games left as well. The Texans twice, obviously, and then the Saints. So they have the Texans at home, then the Saints at home, and then the Texans on the road. How comfortable do you feel about the Texans' chances against the Titans if, going into Week 17, the Titans just got done beating the Texans beating the Texans at home in Week 15, and then they go out and beat the Saints at home the next week, and then you're going into a Week 17 where you lost against the Titans, then you won against Tampa Bay, and to even have a chance to make the playoffs, you have to go in Week 17 at home, beat a Titans team that just got done beating the Saints.
I'm going to be nervous, but
I'm not going to watch. I won't watch it. Like, I'll literally, and if I do, I'm going to need to have my wife with a defibrillator or a brown paper bag next to me, because I'm going to be beside myself with nerves. That's terrifying.
I'm going to be nervous, but I think the Texans are going to win 2 of their last 3 games, and I think the Titans are going to lose 2 out of their last 3 games. And that's why I asked the question. It's like, okay, well, which game is it that the Texans are going to beat the Titans? Because
it needs to be this one. It has to be.
It would take a lot of pressure off the Texans going forward if they were to get this win against the Titans this week. Not because there's 3 games left, but because it's the first of 3 games left and it's on the road. That does a lot for a team's confidence, you would think. As I say that, damn it to hell, beating the Patriots the way that you did at home should give a team a lot of freaking confidence to go out and smash the goddamn Denver Broncos at home. But that didn't happen. So as I say that, it puts more pressure on the Tennessee Titans maybe than actual confidence could possibly help the Texans, if that makes sense. Because while the Titans are lucky in the sense that they don't have to go to New Orleans and play the Saints Week 16, the Saints are still the Saints.
Yep.
And they're going to be getting ready to roll into the playoffs. And trying to play their best football. So they're going to go into Tennessee, whatever the situation is, with a chip on their shoulder, ready to flex their muscle, because you have to win on the road at some point if you want to win the whole thing. And that's going to be a tough game for Tennessee, regardless whether they get a win or a loss this week.
Let me ask you this before we close it down. If you have to choose a team to go against the New Orleans Saints at their home, not like either team you choose, they get to play at home. You have to choose a team to go against the New Orleans Saints, and you have to choose the team that you think has the best chance to beat them. Texans or Titans? Who is it?
At home, so the Saints would be on the road.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Which team has the better chance to beat the Saints? To me, this is an absolute no-brainer.
Right now, I have to say the Tennessee Titans, because they're playing the most complete football. Defensively, they're a little bit better than the Houston Texans are, speaking overall, in the season. And they're doing what they needed to do at the right time of the season. They've got a better run game going right now. Derrick Henry's gotten like 4 straight games with 100-plus yards. Ryan Tannehill's playing the best quarterback he's played in his entire career. And the Texans are sputtering. They're a team that's scratching their head right now.
This is why I have no faith that the Texans can beat the Titans. Like we are literally. I can sit there.
The Titans, not the Saints.
I understand. I understand that, but like we're talking about this, the Titans have I don't even think the Texans have a chance to beat the Saints in a game at home at this point. The Titans do. We're talking about these two teams. Like I can see the Titans beating the Ravens. I can, with the way they're playing. and the way their defense is playing,
Well,
the way their offense.
But here's
But I can't see the Texans doing that.
Well, you're kind of a prisoner of the moment when you say
You're a prisoner of the moment. I'm the prisoner of a 7-week moment. How can I be a prisoner of a 7-week moment?
Right now, because you're looking at all this Titans crap, and yeah, they're coming off of a win they should have, a convincing win against the Raiders. Like, they're playing the best football right now versus the Texans. They just are, and their players are playing better football than players at equal positions on the Texans. That's just the way that it is.
Are you trying to make me feel better right now? Because you're not.
I'm just telling you.
I'm a victim of facts.
At least,
that's what I am a victim of. I'm a victim of the facts.
At least give the Texans credit for the wins that they have this year are far and away.
That's fair.
Better and have more quality than any win at all last year, including the Miami game.
That's absolutely fair.
And so, like, the fact that if you're talking about one game, and especially at your own place, while they haven't shown they can even beat the Colts in a big game at home, they haven't shown they can beat the Chiefs in a playoff game at home in 2015. They haven't taken care of their stuff. But you know what? This is the third year of Deshaun Watson. He's as healthy as you could hope for at this point. His arsenal of weapons is getting healthier. Fuller should be good to go for this weekend's game, and that is like the X factor for the Texans. I don't know why necessarily.
Will Fuller is a huge deal.
Yeah, it is. For some reason, like, despite them being so talented in the receiver core already, like, they're a completely different team without Will Fuller. In fact, they suck without Will Fuller, and they're really pretty damn good and versatile with Will Fuller.
The one thing I will say, and this is maybe something that maybe we need to dive into in the next show that we do. But the one thing I will say is, all off season, and I was one person that was doing it. All off season, all everybody was talking about is the difficult schedule, the difficult schedule, the difficult schedule. This schedule's so much more difficult than it was last year. There's no way they can compete. There's no the only reason they're going to make the playoffs is because they may not even do it. No, the Jags have Nick Foles now. The schedule's so bad, and they have gone out and a lot of the games that they were supposed to lose, they've won them. The game against the Saints, they played them competitive. So I will give them that. They have had some amazing wins this year. But it's not the fact that I don't think that they could do it. It's the fact that they're just so damn inconsistent, and they go out and have, to use a Shaun Bajaniism, they go out and have a massive popcorn fart against a team that they should beat. They should have been the team that was up 31-3 at halftime, not the other way around.
Hey, how many 3-team parlays have you ever won in your life gambling?
I don't do sports gambling. I don't even fully know what a parlay is.
How many games have you? How many times have you picked a perfect schedule on any given week in the NFL?
I actually did that this year. We do a picks league with our family. I actually picked a perfect week this year.
One time,
yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
A long time. Why are you using my facts against me?
Because I despise it. And when people want to talk about it on the radio for shows and segments, like, I just want to punch them in the face.
For like doing.
Let's go through the schedule.
Doing picks and parlays. Oh yeah.
Please go away. Go away. Go away.
Just go. Just go away. We don't need you anymore. Yeah, I don't.
Take it.
I don't love that either.
I hate that. I can't stand it. It's like, oh, the strength of schedule. It's like, dude, somebody's going to be hurt. A quarterback's going to go down. Somebody's going to get canned. A team's going to suck that's supposed to be good. It happens every year, every single week. That's why your ass can't freaking hit 9, 10, 11, 12 team parlays. Like me, I can't hit them. I'm going 9-3 because the 3 games that are games that I know, I firmly believe, otherwise I wouldn't have picked them, don't hit that way. It's because bleep happens. It hits the fan. It doesn't work that way. So you can't pick all these wins every single year, and you can't say the Texans have like the second hardest schedule in the NFL. It's like, screw you. One of these teams that you think is going to be good is going to suck. Sorry.
You're good. Every time somebody talks about parlays and sports betting, the only thing I ever think of is Pirates of the Caribbean. like almost instantaneously because pirates do parlays, and I don't know what a sports parlay is really fully. I know where it's like you bet.
I don't know what a pirate parlay is. So
it's where it's like a meeting. Like it's like, oh, we're trying to kill each other. Well, we better parlay so we don't kill each other. It's like a negotiation. You didn't know what you don't know what that's what a classic parlay is. It's to stop yourself from destroying each other. Whatever.
All right, you taught me what a pirate parlay is.
Yeah. What's a sports betting parlay? I'm not gonna remember. You're gonna tell me, and I'll forget it by tomorrow.
No. All right. So
also, hold on, real fast. Andy has been commenting the entire time, and I did not, because we don't normally get a lot of comments during the show. So like I just see like just comment after comment. I just want to say thanks to Andy. But he said when we say Will Fuller, he said all he hears is Wall Fuller. He says it. We
say it again because you froze up.
He said all he hears when we say Will Fuller is Wall Fuller.
I don't know.
Okay, tell me what a sports parlay is so we can end this and I can go eat dinner.
So I'll give you an example. New England's at Cincinnati this weekend. Tampa's at Detroit. And Chicago's at Green Bay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pick New England, Tampa, and Green Bay to win.
Why is that a parlay?
Games. Well, a parlay is picking at least 3 games to go a certain way. So I'm going to tell you that New England, Tampa, and Green Bay are going to win those games. That means I've picked those games straight up. Okay?
All right. 3-team parlay.
Straight up. Those teams are going to win. If they all win, I win that parlay. If one of those teams that I picked loses? I lose the parlay.
Whoa, so you lose the whole thing. Okay, I know what a sports... I'm going to start doing some sports parlays. That's what I'm going to do this weekend. Let's do some parlays. All right, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Whether you watched us on Twitter or Facebook, or you're watching us on YouTube right now or in the past. I don't know. Maybe it could be Saturday and you're watching us on YouTube right now. I appreciate you watching in the future.
Sorry, I'm ugly.
Future man. Oh, whatever. But we appreciate you guys watching. You can follow me at Josh Beard Radio on Twitter. You can follow him at Shaun Bajani on Twitter. Go to youtube.com/Josh Beard, and you can follow and listen to all of the old Wasted Talents, all of the new Wasted Talents. So go subscribe to that. All the new ones are going to come out. We're also going to have. I'm going to start over Twitter, and then whenever we do shows moving forward, I'm going to have a URL for our actual podcast page where I'm going to put all this in audio form. So if you don't want to look at the fat guy and Bajani, then you can actually just listen to our voices and listen to the podcast portion. But we appreciate you guys watching and listening to us, and we will see you next week.